The movie begins with a man frantically etching something on the wall as two men watch him from a screen. The man collapses after he completes the sketch, and the sketch is a picture of a city beside the sea. The doctor attends to him while the other man picks up the blue purse and stares at the sketch on the wall. A boy, Michel Salenzi, is riding his bike through the city. He stops and stares at a Spider-Man costume through a shop window. He brings out some money and tries to go into the store, but the owner stops him. Michel arrives at the school and runs to class, where he secretly records a girl, Stella, like a total weirdo. His teacher comes over and takes his phone. She tells him to get serious with schoolwork or repeat the 9th grade like the boy named Ivan Casadio. Ivan, a class bully, tells the teacher that he's also repeated the 8th grade. The class laughs. The school principal walks in and tells that a police inspector wants to address him. The inspector asks them if they've seen someone called Martino Breccia. The girl Michelle was recording asks the inspector if anything has happened to Martino. Ivan jokes that Martino died while jerking off. The inspector tells them that Martino's missing, and if they see or hear from him, they should tell him to go home to his mom. The principal whispers something to the inspector, who goes over to Michelle and gives him his lunch. She's Michelle's mother. He thanks her and she leaves as the bullies tease Michelle. Michelle suddenly starts to bleed from his nose. He rushes to the bathroom to stop the blood and clean himself up. He runs into the bathroom stall when he hears the bullies coming his way. Ivan and another boy named Brando break the door down and drag him out. They take his money and tease him about not having a dad. Michelle tells Ivan that it's better to not have a dad than have one in jail. Ivan hits him with a paintball gun and chases Michelle around the school. He escapes for a while but eventually gets shot in the back. Ivan mocks him and the crowd laughs. Michelle gets home and sees Candela dressed like a bee. He checks out Stella's Facebook page, revealing that Michelle has a crush on her. He sees a post for a Halloween party, decides to attend and take some money from the safe. Candela plays in her room and pulls a lever. Michelle rushes to save Candela from falling off the bed, and Candela's impressed, calling him Superman. He tells Candela the bed is for friends when they visit, but this is clearly a lie. He has no friends. He goes to a Halloween store to get a costume, and he meets a boy in the shop and tells him that he needs that costume. The boy gives Michelle a strange costume and says it's of a Chinese superhero named Xing Zhao. Michelle wants to know the superhero's powers, and the boy tells him he'll find out. Michelle's mom watches a video of Martino Breccia telling his mom not to worry about him. She's confused about why Martino, a math genius, would run away from home. Just doesn't add up.
Before we get on with it, like the video, smash that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to join our expendable squad.
She gets home and asks Michelle why he isn't at the Halloween party. He tells her his costume sucks. She tries to cheer him up by telling him that he looks like his father. He gets a little cheered up and decides to go to the party. At the party, Stella approaches him and asks to guess what she's dressed up to be. She's dressed as Marie Antoinette. Brando teases Michelle, saying his costume looks like diarrhea. He tells the boy that he's dressed as a Chinese superhero. Stella's excited that his costume's Chinese and tells him she stayed in China for a year when she was small. She just arrived to Michelle City and loves living here because of the sea. Ivan and Brando show everyone at the party the secret footage Michelle had been taking of Stella, having gotten his phone after the teacher seized it. Michelle runs away and hides in the bathroom, so ashamed that he wishes to become invisible. The lights go off as lightning strikes outside. When the lights come back on, Michelle escapes through the window and runs home. The following day, he wakes up to the sound of his alarm. He's become invisible, but hasn't figured this out yet. His dog growls as he goes about his morning routine. He showers and starts brushing his teeth when he realizes he has no reflection in the mirror. He goes nude and checks himself in a full-length mirror. His mom walks in and picks up his towel, unable to see him. She checks around the room but can't find Michelle anywhere. The dog barks at him, but his mother thinks the dog is barking at a drawing on the wall. She leaves and calls her son on the phone. Michelle promises to call her later. Michelle heads to school on his bike, in full clothing and wearing sunglasses to hide his invisibility. He decides to leave school, but changes his mind when he sees Ivan. He pulls off all his clothes as a man watches from the roof of a building. He walks naked on the stairs, the pavement, and into the classroom, where the teacher marks him absent from class. He stands up in class and decides to get Ivan into trouble by shooting a gun at the teacher. The teacher and the principal discuss Ivan's behavior. Michelle grabs his blank answer script from yesterday. The paper still has the bloodstain from his bleeding nose. Michelle copies the answers from the page in the teacher's drawer, ensuring he'll pass. Brando is in a tennis competition, where Michelle messes with him. His interventions make him miss his serves and lose the match. Brando's father yells at him for losing that match. Michelle messes with Brando again by tossing the tennis balls and asking them to play together. Brando runs out, screaming for help. Michelle sees Ivan getting beat up by his father for shooting the teacher with the paint gun. Then he sees that his female classmates are going back into the changing room, and like a true creep and future convict, decides to spy on him. He sits and watches as the girls go about the dressing room. Then a towel is thrown on him, and he loses his invisibility. The girls are screaming when they see him. Michelle sits in his mom's car. She's confused about how he didn't get suspended. She's shocked that her son would do something like that, but is distracted when she receives a call. Brando Volpe has gone missing. A police psychologist named Vasily speaks to the class. He thinks the missing children ran away from home because of some adolescent issues they might have had. Brando left a note for his parents before he went missing. The girls in the class stare and laugh at Michelle. Someone throws a piece of paper at him, and he sees his name written next to the word maniac. When the bell rings, Michelle runs out of class because he notices that his hands have become invisible. He tries to hide his invisibility from Candela, but she finds out, and he tells her all about his powers, and she calls the superhero costume Magic Pajamas. Candela calls Michelle a superhero and tells him that he'll have to help people in danger, but he doesn't feel up to the challenge and calls himself a loser. The police discuss the missing boys, Martino and Brando. They don't understand why and how the boys would run away from home. Martino left a video behind, and Brando left his parents a note. They theorize that Martino ran away from home because of pressure from math competitions, and Brando ran away because he lost his tennis competition. The police decide to keep the matter a secret. Michelle reads a comic book and circles some words. He pulls off all his clothes when he hears his mom coming. When she walks in, she doesn't find him. She picks up the phone and has a conversation with her mother. Michelle listens in on the call, hearing that he might have been adopted, and runs out of the room. Michelle's on a swing at a beach. Stella sees the swing moving and approaches him when he sneezes. She asks him if they can be friends because she doesn't have a lot of friends. They draw a smiley face on the sand and swing together. Michelle asks if she's scared of him since she can't see him, but Stella tells him that she isn't. She leaves in hopes that they hang out again. Michelle sees a blind man watching them from afar. Next day at school, Michelle apologizes to Stella for spying on her in the changing room. She forgives him and draws a smiley face on her paper. That night, Michelle goes to Stella's house and draws a smiley face on her window. Stella's happy because this has become their secret message to each other. They have a great time hanging out and eventually kiss. Michelle jumps out the window when he realizes his hands are becoming visible again. Stella asks to know his name, but he doesn't tell her. Stella continues practicing after her instructor leaves to get some coffee. She stops to drink some water and feels that she's being watched. Michelle approaches the gym and practices what he'll tell Stella when he gets there. But Stella's shot with a tranquilizer and kidnapped by a masked man when Michelle finally arrives. He tries to fight the man but is unsuccessful, and this man drives away with Stella. The police arrive at the gym. Michelle's mom is tending to him when the paramedics help Stella's instructor, who's still shaken by Stella's kidnapping. Stella wakes up in a secret facility where a scientist takes her sample. From the tests, they find out that Stella is not the person they're looking for and must continue their search. Candela wakes Michelle and tells him that he was talking in his sleep about saving Stella. He notices that his costume shrank when he took it out of the dryer. He can't fit into the costume now, so Candela tries it on instead. She waits to disappear, but nothing happens. Michelle's mom arrives, and he's mad at her for ruining his costume. He yells that she isn't his mother and runs out of the house. Stella's pushed into a room where she sees Brando and Martino. They hug because they're so glad to see each other. Michelle's throwing stones in the water when the blind man startles him. The man introduces himself as Andrzej, his father. Michelle runs over and tells Andrzej that his father was a cop and he died a hero. Andrzej tells Michelle a story of him growing up in Russia as a normal boy until a nuclear disaster occurred and radiation killed his people. The radiation mutated a few people's DNA, which gave them powers. Soon, a paramilitary group called the Division, led by a Cold War general, came and locked them away. They created an invincible army full of people with special abilities, from telekinesis to elasticity and levitation. Andrzej could read minds. They were called specials. People without powers are called normals. The more they used their powers, the more it consumed them and made them sick. He lost his sight due to that sickness. All the specials were sterile except Michelle's mother, Yelena, and him. Soon, they fell in love and had Michelle. They decided to run away because they knew the Division would take Michelle away from him. Yelena sacrificed herself to save him. He escaped with Michelle and decided to leave him with Giovanna, who cared for him as her child. Andrzej shows his powers to Michelle and reads a nearby fisherman's mind before he can call the cops. Giovanna is disturbed because she hasn't seen Michelle since he ran out of the house. Vasily calms her. Andres erases the fisherman's memory and tells Michelle that his power resides inside him, so he doesn't need the costume. Andres tells him that he'll soon learn how to control his nosebleeds. He hands Michelle a suit that reacts to his skin. The suit goes invisible when Michelle's invisible, so he won't need to go naked whenever he wants to use his powers. The suit is a symbol of the specials. The three children discuss their captors and decide that they were kidnapped because the captors are looking for someone with a particular talent, and they plan their escape. Michelle finds out that Vasily is one of the bad guys. He goes invisible after wearing his suit and throws knives at Vasily and runs away. But Vasily spreads flour around the room and uses that to track him. Michelle escapes with Ivan's help. The three children escape. Stella climbs up to a spotlight using her balancing talent, drawing a smiley face and shining the light into the sky. Michelle and Ivan see the light and rush to save Stella. Ivan causes a distraction, and Michelle sneaks in. He sees Giovanna and Andres through a secret camera in her car. On their way to Michelle's location, Giovanna expresses her love and affection for Michelle. Michelle knocks out a guard and holds the rest at gunpoint. He rescues Stella, Martino, and Brando. Brando's shocked to see him, but Stella's pleased, telling him that they have to rescue the old man she saw when she first escaped. She and Michelle go to save the old man while Martino and Brando try to run out. They find that the door's locked. Stella grabs the gun, pointing it at Michelle as they enter. Slowly, other people come out of the dark. Stella leads him to an old man in a wheelchair. The old man introduces himself as Claw. He's also a special, who has the power to possess people's bodies. He possessed Vasily back at Michelle's house, and now he possessed Stella to trap Michelle. Michelle goes invisible and beats up the guards but shows himself when they threaten Stella. Giovanna and Andres arrive, and Ivan leads them to the spot as the submarine dives. Claw tells Michelle that he'll soon see his mother, but Michelle doesn't believe him. Andres told him that she had died. Claw tells Michelle that she was only injured, and that she is alive and waiting for him. Giovanna saves Martino and Brando before sneaking in and searching the ship. She sees Vasily and threatens him to tell her where Michelle is. She doesn't believe him when he says he doesn't know. Andres confirms Vasily's innocence and tells Giovanna that Michelle is no longer on the ship. They run out of the ship just as it explodes. Claw tells Michelle that his place is with the specials and not with the normals. Michelle watches as Stella is strapped to a pipe in a different compartment. He uses his powers to take out all the guards. His abilities have grown beyond invisibility. Now, he has telekinesis. He locks the old man in a different compartment and escapes with Stella in an escape pod. He shows his powers to the police, shocking Giovanna. He goes to talk to his dad, who tells him that no one must remember the events that happened the night before to keep Michelle's identity a secret. He tells Michelle that he'd have to erase everyone's memory. Michelle bids Stella farewell because he knows she won't remember him after Andres erases her memory. They kiss, and their memories are erased. Giovanna and Vasily are confused because they can't remember anything. Giovanna knows she saved the children, but can't remember how. The press celebrates her for rescuing the kids. Everything is back to normal. The school has a party to celebrate the rescued children. Ivan and Brando try to bully Michelle, but he stands his ground, no longer a shy kid. And they're shocked by his confidence. Michelle meets up with Stella outside. He sneezes, a sound that Stella recognizes. She asks him to walk with her, bothered about a math test that they have the next day, but Michelle promises to share his trick with her. A soldier informs his boss that they have found a young girl named Natasha in Morocco. The person he speaks to becomes visible, and we see Michelle's mom. The movie ends with a flashback, revealing that Andres has 2 kids instead of 1. The other child is Michelle's twin sister. The Invisible Boy was released in 2014. The movie was produced by Indigo Film, Ray Cinema, Faso Film, SRL, and Bellissima Films. Some of the stars in the movie are Valeria Galino, Fabrizio Bentivoglio, Ludovico Garadello, Christo Jakov, and Noah Zada. If you were Michelle, would you use your powers for good or evil? Tell me with the hashtag Cinema Recap in the comments.